that one picked up. All right, welcome to the Jordan Wigington Show. A new internet phenomenon and sensation. I probably should have moved that basketball goal, but maybe it's not seen. Anyways, what is the Jordan Wigington Show? I'm not sure yet. This is the first test run where I'm going to learn how to do sound and video, compile it together, and place it online. It's going to be an experience. What do I need to talk about first? I got a haircut. And I hate haircuts just about more than I hate anything else in the world. Abortion, sin, the injustices in the world, and haircuts. Here's the thing. I have very good hair genetics because my hair grows very quickly and very thick. It's a very good thing for most people, but I do not know how to style it. So most of the time, including right now, I walk around with the stupidest looking hairstyle of all time. I hate haircuts. I hate going in there. And first off, I hate when they went to like these apps where you schedule your appointments and stuff. I hate that crap. I hate it so much. I like the days where you go in and you sit and you wait your turn. And you sit there and you're annoyed by all the old heads talking about sports and all this other stuff. You don't like anybody in there. But for some reason, that is vast preferable to trying to find a time. It's always I have to leave work for almost 2 hours to get a haircut because that's the only spot available. I used to go to this place, and they were like the best in town apparently, and they knew it, and they charged like $35 for a haircut. And everybody there just were mean people, and I didn't like them. And for some reason, the owner was really obsessed with plants. And there was just like a jungle of potted plants, the ugliest things you've ever seen. And you had to wade through that. Even though you had an appointment, you have to wait because they're always running behind. And you're sitting on these stupid uppity couches that are not comfortable. And then when it's time to go, you have to walk to the chair. And they give you a haircut, and they talk about how cool they are and how you're a real dummy. And you're not cool at all. And the whole time you're getting your hair cut, there's 18 dadgum motorcycles in the place. They're obsessed with motorcycles for some reason. These aren't good motorcycles. These are old crappy ones that barely run. They leak oil. So like the whole time, you're getting that barbershop smell, but also the smell of gasoline and old oil and brake dust and all this stuff. I hated the experience. So I started going to this new place. And I was getting the guy to cut my hair for a while, and I liked him a lot. It was cheaper. It wasn't as snooty as of an atmosphere. They was just a barbershop. Well, one day I was getting my hair cut. This was a couple years ago, and he wasn't available or something, and I really had to get my hair cut done. I think it's when I had to do a wedding. And my wife's watching stuff from the bedroom. You could probably hear her. Anyways, so there was this girl that was barbering there, and I signed up for her, and she did 100% a really pretty okay job. But this is the first lady that's cut my hair since I was a child. And when she was cutting my hair, she was like at least 8 months pregnant, like big pregnant. Her bulbous belly was the whole time like touching my shoulder and my arm when she was cutting my hair. And I really liked that experience. I don't like being touched, but like if I'm going to be touched, it needs to be by a mom who has my interest at heart. And I really liked that experience so very much. But she moved to Portland back with her family. I wish her the best, but I wish her family would move here and that she would stay perpetually pregnant so that when I do decide to get a haircut, I'll have the comfort of a motherly touch whilst I'm getting my haircut. But man, I hate haircuts. I don't ever know how to style them. I don't ever know how to ask for what I want, which I really never know. I've tried the picture thing, but like I show them a picture and it's never like the color hair that I have or the style, like how my hair grows. I don't know how to ask for a cool haircut. And I walked in there and she said, "Do what we normally do." And I was like, "Yes." It's always just okay. And it's my fault. I don't mean to disparage the new lady that's barbering me, but and I just said, just make it look okay. And she did, and I'm not pleased with it. And again, that's my fault because I don't know how to ask for what I want. So that's why I'm sitting here real stupid looking with this haircut and this stupid mustache. Oh, I hate my facial hair more than just about anything in the world. But I'm such a lazy person that I won't stay clean shaven. Like, it's enough for me to just wake up in the morning, put in my contacts, and not forget to take my child to their their my grandparents who watch them, or my parents who watch them, much less have to shave every day. And I thought it would be cool to have a mustache for this past couple weeks. And every day I wake up and look in the mirror and I'm like, man, I look absolutely insane. But do I shave? No, because I'm lazy. Um, if I could grow actually good facial hair, like I can't grow anything on my cheeks. If I could grow facial hair, I would never get a haircut again or shave again. I would duck Commander out for sure. And it's probably a good thing that I've got such incredible white trash genetics because I would look like a slob worse than I already do all the time. I got a haircut because it was my birthday yesterday, and I felt like I ought to look good. And for some reason, this was what I chose as looking good. Um, but I hate birthdays. They're so depressing to me. I always think about death because it's 1 year closer to death. Um, and I had a birthday, what was it, 15 years ago maybe? If my mathing is correct, that I so prayed for death. I hated birthdays before my birthday in 2009, but I really hated it after that night. So, I was a year out of high school, graduated in 2008. My birthday was March 13th, 2009. I was turning 19. Girl I went to high school with, invited me to her boyfriend's birthday party. Me and him, his name is Josh. He's the only name that I will say on this. But Josh is my mortal enemy. But his girlfriend at the time invited me to his birthday party. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I'll go and I can, kind of share in the joy a little bit. I'm not one to take the spotlight from somebody, but it would be nice to be recognized for my birthday. But there was no luck. She rented out this restaurant, La Hacienda, I believe. It was a Mexican restaurant. And she rented out the whole place. There was nobody in there but the party attendants, people invited. It was like 50 or 60 people. It was unbelievable how many people were there. And we get seated. We take our order. I order, I'm assuming, chicken and rice, small cheese dip, large Coca-Cola. And I had to pay for my own meal on my birthday. But after that, you know how Mexican restaurants, they'll kind of like procure an old building that used to be something. Well, this place had a large room that had a stage, and there was a karaoke machine, and there was people who were doing karaoke, and it was just a glorious occasion. And I just remember looking around. This place was decorated like my senior prom, or whatever. It was like straight out of those magazines you used to get at school and you would plan prom. There was like shiny ribbon and tarps and all this stuff. There was like a theme. I can't remember what it was, but it looked just like a prom. and it was all for Josh. Well, after karaoke, uh, for some reason, everybody thought it would be just a wonderful idea to uh, everybody give a toast to Josh and his excellencies. So I had to watch as 60 people. I didn't partake because he's my most hated person in the world. Um, get up there and just sang his praises for like an hour. Oh, Josh, I really look up to you because you're a man of faith and you're a good man and you're a good preacher. Other people get up there, oh, you're a great singer and songwriter. You're really good at piano. Jessica would get up there and say, oh, you're this and that. And I'm glad you're my boyfriend and his family and it was just brutal. And not one person told me happy birthday. Not one person got on a microphone and said how cool of a guy I was. And that really depressed me. That nobody cared about me on my birthday. So I remember afterwards, like I was 19, and I think it's 21 now, but used to in Alabama in 2009, you had to be 19 in order to partake in tobacco. And I had never done anything like that before, but I was so depressed, melancholic, that I decided, you know what, I've got to do something. I need a fix. So I go and buy a pack of cigarettes, Marlboro Reds, because that looked the coolest. And I drive back in my parents' neighborhood, and I sit on the hood of my car, light a cigarette, and smoke a cigarette while listening to the song Talk Show Host by Radiohead on repeat for I don't know, probably like 15 minutes. And I didn't have the funny story where like I coughed a lot and I got sick or anything like that. No, I was a champ at smoking cigarettes. But the reason I picked that song was because the movie Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and that kind of ugly actress who's for some reason kind of cute, even though she's ugly. After the opening scene, the fight between the Capulets and the Montagues, Benovio, whatever his cousin's name is riding with his parents, and he's like in the car, and he's like, "Hey, where's Romeo?" And the camera pans to Romeo, and he's sitting on like a stage on the beach, and the sun's coming behind him, and he's writing cool poetry down, something about loving hate and brawling love or something. And he just looks so dadgum cool, and he's smoking a cigarette while he's writing this poetry, and the song Talk Show Host by Radiohead is playing, and I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Still to this day, probably the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So that's what I did. And then afterwards, I went over a girl's house that I was talking to, and I was like, well, maybe she's going to give me a birthday present, or we're going to talk, or maybe be boyfriend and girlfriend. But instead, she invited a guy over and cuddled on the couch with him and gave him sweet kisses instead of me. But anyways, what is this show going to be? Me jabbering? Yeah, of course. Me talking about my pains and woes and my misfortunes in life for sure. But also, I like to read and write. And maybe this is something you can help me with. I've wrote a lot of things, but I've got a book that's very close to completion. I'm just doing final edits on it. And I'm having some ethical struggles with this book because I'm a Christian man. I'm a minister, licensed and ordained, and not just one of those internet doodads, but with a denomination that I had to go through a board and stuff. But I've written a book. It's fiction, and it's about my mental struggles, specifically when I was in high school, listening to Radiohead and smoking cigarettes. No, I wasn't in high school then, but the character in this, he's not a moral person, not a Christian, and I wrote him as such. And I'm wondering if it would be bad for me to put that out there. You know, like, there's cuss words in the book, and more things than that. Um, I'm just wondering, ethically, what's the Christian moral thing to do about this? Should I even be writing that, or is it fine? But I keep coming back to this thought. We love books um, with murder in them. People will write murder, or like bank robberies, or violence, and that's fine. No question qualms about that. When Harry Potter came out, my mom wouldn't let me read it because it had witchcraft in it, not because Voldemort killed somebody. So why is one bad and not the other is kind of my thinking. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Uh, I'm deliberating about that. But, I also want to talk about books on this show. Hopefully I'm going to have guests on to talk with and maybe tell me about some of their favorite books. But I'm going to tell you about Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Northanger Abbey is Jane Austen's first book published technically. Maybe not, but it's also her last, technically, as well, from what I've read. She had several things going on. She picked Northanger Abbey, and it was bought by a publisher, but it was never actually published. So she bought it back sometime later, and then it was released after her death with Persuasion. So this is technically her first and last book. How cool is that? She died way too soon. But she is by far my favorite writer of all time. Nobody has a command of the language like she does. She is a masterful writer. And here's the thing, she writes chick stuff. I don't really care that much about chick stuff. I mean, I like it all right, but the stories, when it comes to me, are like not that special, but she writes so perfectly that I just soak up every word that she writes. It's so masterful, and I so wish that I had the ability to write like she does. A couple of her things are she's very whimsical. She treats everything, even like heartbreak or in this occasion, kind of spooky stuff, very whimsically. And I think it's so nice to read something whimsical. But she's also very ironic. Like, she's all time just contradicting herself and writing X when she means Y. And, oh, it's fun. And this book is probably, out of the ones that I've read, the most on the nose with it as far as a lot of her irony. Now, there's also tons of stuff like subliminally and kind of that you have to go searching for, like all of her books, but there's a lot of on-the-nose irony in this one, and I think it was really nice because I didn't have to go like rereading everything to catch the brilliance I can do. It was very upfront in this one. The story's about Catherine Morland, cool lady. I don't remember her age, but she's youngish, teens, maybe early 20s, but I think teens. Tomboy growing up, and kind of unassuming person, maybe. I don't want to say like super quiet, but just a normal lady. Tomboy, and then kind of grows out of that a little bit, but she loves books, specifically Gothic novels from like that time, what, late 1700s, early 1800s, I don't know, 1700s, I believe. But she goes on vacation with a family friend, and she meets a lot of really cool people, some not cool, so cool people. But she eventually has a friend named Isabel, and Isabel's one of my favorite characters in a lot of books that I've read. She might be one of my favorites because she is so contradictory in everything that she does. She'll say one thing, and then I had the sense to underline it. When Isabel would say she was going to do something or make a statement, I'd underline it, and then like it was at a page later, I would underline where she would contradict herself. It was funny, and it was believable. Cool thing in this book in chapter 5, like she just kind of, Jane quits telling the story and just gives some of the best words written in defense of novels. Apparently during this time, like they were kind of seen as silly or maybe just for women, but it was just a wonderful defense of reading novels, just kind of out of nowhere. Um, so if you're in the store and see Northanger Abbey, pick it up and read chapter 5. I think it's like 2 pages, 3 pages long. Catherine, is in this it's in Bath, which I guess is a city in England, but she meets some people and she goes and stays with them. And I'm skipping a bunch of stuff, and she's riding with. I cannot remember. I'm gonna look his first name up real quick. Henry Tilney. Henry Tilney. She's riding with Henry Tilney, and they're going to his family's where he's going to stay, where she's going to stay with their family, mainly his sister. I can't remember her name either. But as they're riding, and he knows that she likes these like gothic novels, these spooky stories, so he's telling her like, how do you know that my abbey, where we're going? Oh, by the way, an abbey is a place where monks and nuns used to stay and cloister together. In England, after the Protestant Reformation, the Protestants kind of took over the country, and they pretty much rid all the whole country of like nuns and cloistered people. So all these abbeys were either like torn down or converted into homes. Well, the Tilneys lived in an abbey. Anyways, Henry is telling Catherine's like, this abbey, it might be haunted. And this is a paraphrase. He's like, what if you get into this room and it's dark and dimly lit, and there's, the spooky, bloody tapestries on the wall, and there's storms outside and secret passageways and then long corridors, and what if you find a chest and it's got a dirty secret inside of it? Well, Catherine gets there, and then she finds out that there is a long hallway, but it's not creepy, and then her room is well lit, and there's no tapestries, but she finds a chest, and then she has trouble getting into it and freaks herself out, only to find that inside is like receipts for like a farrier and maybe laundry or something like that. So that kind of, she's really, really into this whole thing. But Catherine's whole deal is she has a pretty good gut. Her gut feelings are really good throughout this whole thing, but she never believes them because she always believes what people say about themselves, or she always trusts somebody's opinion versus her own feelings. Well, anyways, she learns that the mother of the house passed away. And she talks herself into believing that Henry's father, they call him the General Tilney, killed his wife. And she's convinced of this. Well, she eventually confesses to Henry that she's believed this. And Henry kind of is flabbergasted and says, no. Why would you think that? My father's a good dude, loved his wife. And she just keeps having these same feelings that the general is a cruel man. He's always interrupting her and all this stuff. Well, eventually, he kicks her out of the house because he learns that he has mistaken her for being more wealthy than she's not. He don't like poor people, and he kicks her out, which is apparently like a huge ordeal and a huge crime for gentlemen to treat people that well, especially women. So she goes back home, and Henry don't like that, so he goes and apologizes and makes Ben proposes, and a few more things happen, but they end up together, long story short. But I think it's the grand irony is that she never listened to her gut feeling about anything, and almost everything that I can think of, she was right out the get-go of people's true intentions. But it was a pretty good story. I liked it. There's a lot of references to like gothic novels and stuff that I didn't get. That there's an introduction by Claudia Johnson. She did a very good job of explaining a lot of that stuff and the deeper ironies that I missed when I read it. It's been about a month and a half since I finished it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Jane Austen book, but it's definitely better than just about anything I've ever read other than Jane Austen books. Um, but yeah, I think we were done here. I'm going to try to figure out how to mix this and sync it up and put it out on YouTube. So, thank you.